Hello and welcome. This is from the CBN. We bring to you weekly reports and expert analysis of the actions, policies, events, and economic initiatives of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. I'm William Misidada. What major innovations will strengthen and propel the financial services industry for the future? How prepared is the sector for the new crop of workforce and next generation of financial services professionals? Of what relevance are banks' services and products to the future of banking? Those were some of the questions that the business and plenary sessions of the 15th Annual Banking and Finance Conference of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN, sought to answer. The two-day event, which held earlier in the month at the Transcorp Hilton Hotel, Abuja, brought together stakeholders in the Nigeria's financial sector for robust engagements on issues affecting the industry and the economy at large. Stay tuned for highlights of the opening in today's package. We'll be back shortly.
When you run a business in Nigeria, cash collection can be such a big deal. At first, it was just you and the product. And then you have a shop, then 10 more shops, in 10 different locations, in 5 different towns. Wow, that's 50 cash points. And 50 cash points could mean 150 different cashiers to manage. Now, that's a big business. With bigger cash collection demands, that's where we come in. Introducing eNaira Web Wallet. It makes managing cash collection as easy as ABC. Yes, 3 simple steps. We help you with 1. Setup, 2. Onboarding, and 3. Start your cash collection. With all your cashiers on point, all your customers have to do is this. Walk up to a cash point, scan the QR code, the amount, and bam! Your money is here just like that. We provide 24/7 support for any issues that may arise. We're just a phone call away, or you can also email us. No matter how much the business grows, we're here to grow with you and help you collect more cash every step of the way.
eNaira. Same Naira, more possibilities.
Welcome back. The 15th Annual Banking and Finance Conference of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN, held on Tuesday 13th and Wednesday 14th of September in the nation's capital, Abuja, themed Repositioning the Financial Service Industry for an Evolving Global Context. The event, like the previous year, had both physical and virtual attendees cutting across various sectors and from different locations around the world. President of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, Dr. Ken Okpara, while welcoming everyone, noted that the 15th edition aimed to reconsider the forces that will significantly impact the overall landscape of the financial services industry in a rapidly evolving world.
Over 20 years, with the internet revolution, we witnessed the emergence of new services, products, and companies which replaced the previous ones. Now we are in the digital age where technology has made a significant impact on every traditional services with the latest fintech solution and modern trend. This has greatly improved efficiency and speed of service delivery, as well as has provided a better customer experience. However, advancement in technology and innovation is bringing about a new wave of revolution that will change the landscape of financial services sector more than ever. As a result, financial services industry will need to adapt to this much faster pace of change. Services, product, and technological developments that were new and useful here today will no longer be necessary even today. It's pertinent to say that the financial services industry and the world around us have continued to change faster in the past few years than any time in our collective lives, and will most likely continue to evolve even faster in the future. What was once considered business as usual no longer exists, with the pandemic creating a period of unprecedented turmoil and opportunity. The global pandemic has been a wake-up call for financial services industry, exposing gaps in digital service provision and cost structure. COVID-19 proved a powerful catalyst for change. Banking digital transformation accelerated beyond everyone's imagination as radically new ways of working remotely and serving customers facing dire consequences were launched at a very fast pace. Mobile app transaction processing rocketed. Cash and check usage dropped dramatically.
Delivering a goodwill message at the annual conference, Lagos State Governor Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, represented by the State Commissioner for Finance, Dr. Rabi Olowo, acknowledged the immense support of the Central Bank of Nigeria towards actualizing various developmental projects of the Lagos State government. He said although due recognition must be given to evolving systems in the global space with a view to aligning strategies that are up to date with global trends, however, local peculiarities and overriding national economic goals and objectives must be well considered.
In other words, our financial services sector must be tailored towards supporting the real sector and other critical sectors, such as government, to facilitate sustainable economic growth, job creation, food security, improved revenue generating capacity, and poverty eradication. For example, the support that we have received as a government from this industry is great. The Lagos Internal Revenue Service recently launched a simplified one-stop shop for tax filing and payment on its e-tax platform. This could not have been possible without the robust partnership of the Lagos State government with key stakeholders of the financial services industry. I thought that is a great thing. But more excitingly, the planned completion of the first intra-city rail mass transit by any subnational government in this country wouldn't have been anticipated without the support of the banking industry and the regulators. This landmark transaction will be completed by the end of this year for the blue line, and for the red line will be completed by first quarter of 2023. We took advantage of the differentiated cash reserve requirement funding of the Central Bank of Nigeria. And what this means is that it's going to create jobs, it's going to reduce travel time of Lagosians and residents by more than 60%, hence making life better for all Lagos residents. The truth is that, and this is a key message for the banking industry, the best way to support the economy or the people is to support subnational government that you can trust. I believe our financial services industry has truly demonstrated capacity to rise to the occasion and deepen its relevance in the evolving global financial system. The deployment and application of technology in the sector has continued to play a significant role to improve financial inclusion across the country. It is also very important to state that as part of the repositioning process, we must work on strengthening collaboration, like I've said, between government and the financial services sector. This, I believe, will bring about greater harmony between our fiscal and monetary policies for improved effectiveness in the overall management of the economy.
For his part, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, represented by the Chairman, House Committee on Banking, Honorable Victor Nwokolo, applauded the innovative intervention initiatives of the Central Bank of Nigeria, urging the banking community to offer expert assistance to the government in order to bring relief to the people.
Members of this institute are needed most at a time like this, where we need experts to provide solutions to the problems facing Nigerians, particularly now, where our cost of living is becoming too high. And of course, how do we bring the insecurity to a halt? What solutions are you going to provide? What ideas are you bringing as experts to bring in policies which will make more hands to be employed? These days, it is clear all over the world that government now employs very, very, very little of what is needed in the labor market. We therefore appeal to see how you can come to the aid of government. What kind of loans can be done? Central bank are doing their best in the past 3-4 years. They've come up with several ideas to ameliorate the sufferings, which not only to the Nigerian economy, partly caused by the COVID-19, which its effects are still on. In the face of that, Nigeria has been badly faced with the problem of insecurity, which has driven our people out of their farms, and more also of huge crude oil theft, which again have made our earnings to drop. And without that earnings from the foreign, from Seoul, of course, the Nigerian economy is solely dependent on our foreign earnings from the oil. Unfortunately, it is badly affected now. What idea are we going to get from you? Because we need you as experts. And of course, there's no better time when you are dealing with the bankers, you are dealing with the players of the economy. So we have come to appeal to see what can you do to leverage, to see how you can get the government out indirectly, how you can get Nigerians out of the situation we find ourselves.
President Muhammadu Buhari was ably represented by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Zainab Shamsuna Ahmed. He remarked that the event occupies a pride of place in the calendar of events of the financial services industry in the country, in view of the wide participation of industry players, policymakers and critical stakeholders, as well as the well-thought-out recommendations often made. President Buhari commended the theme for this year's CIBN annual conference in view of the need to constantly adapt to internationally acceptable best practices to improve the efficiency and effectiveness in the sector in playing its primary role of holding financial assets, financial intermediation, and capital formation. He mentioned areas of opportunities for repositioning Nigeria's financial sector.
The recent executed Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, the AFCFTA, is a typical reference point. The deal creates a continent-wide market embracing 55 countries with 1.5 billion people and a combined GDP of $3.4 trillion. Its first phase, which took effect from January 2021, will gradually eliminate tariffs on 90% of goods and reduce barriers to trade in services. In repositioning itself, the financial services sector would serve not just as an intermediary for lenders and borrowers, but in creating an ecosystem consisting of platforms where ordinary Africans can buy and sell their locally produced products despite currency disparity, as is already being practiced on the Pan-African Payment and Settlement Platform, the PAPS, which is a brainchild of the Afrexim Bank. Other opportunities for repositioning of the Nigerian financial sector to promote financial inclusion and diversification of the Nigerian's economy include the following. 1, deepening the market and expanding product offering across the various segments of the industries to adequately finance Nigeria's infrastructure and business investment needs, as well as developing strategies to encourage insurance penetration in Nigeria. 2, leveraging on the growing non-banking financial institutions in the country to crowd in capital from pension funds and insurance assets through well-structured and risk-mitigated financial instruments to broaden and deepen the country's financial markets. 3, deploying innovations in fintech for the extension of financial services to the underserved populations, as well as expanding the product space by taking advantage of opportunities provided by other digital platforms such as warehousing, collateral management, and crowdfunding. 4, raising funds to finance infrastructure needs through the issuance of revenue bonds, securitizing government assets, and adopting other private finance arrangements that allow private sector to provide services and infrastructure to the public transparently, competitively, thereby allowing for efficiency and improved revenue generation. Number 5, creation or expansion of inclusive platforms for green investing, access to affordable healthcare, as well as Nigeria's creative industry, which has in the recent times seen local content exported to international markets. Let me also use this opportunity provided by this gathering of key stakeholders in the financial and banking services sector to commend the regulators of the industry, specifically the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, the Security and Exchange Commission, and the National Insurance Commission, and other critical stakeholders for their diligent work, which has ensured financial system stability in the country over the years. I wish to also ensure the entire banking and financial community that government will continue to support the industry in all appropriate ways to ensure that the sector continues to deliver on its mandates while creating value and innovation for its customers.
The keynote speaker, Chairman, Union Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Farouk Gumel, speaking on the theme of the conference, which is repositioning the financial service industry for an evolving global context, said, "Global may be a new term for some, but changing times require new ways of thinking." Mr. Gumel said global and local are no longer the distinct definitions they were once thought to be, but two sides of a single coin, stressing that the concept is about thinking globally and acting locally. He commended the trailblazing effort of the Central Bank of Nigeria in driving financial inclusion in the country through innovations such as the central bank digital currency, the e-Naira, adding that banking is one of the things Nigeria does best.
Very often in this sort of forum, we end up focusing on things that Nigeria does not do well, but not today. Today, I'm going to talk about things that we are good at. And thankfully, one of those things that Nigerians do well is banking. We have developed a good local voice in the most international of industries. And as it is with institutions, so it is with people. Local is actually my personal story and that of many peers. After graduating from university, I was lucky enough to get a job with PricewaterhouseCoopers in the United Kingdom. I've worked in Europe, I've worked in the United States. And in 2009, I had a chance to return to Nigeria to work on a mega project involving the Central Bank of Nigeria. And guess what that project was? It was reforming the banking sector. We just had a reunion in the waiting room where I saw Mr. Mustafa Chikeobi, Kayode, and even the Director General of NDIC. All of us worked together back then. I was truly blown away by the level of sophistication of banks in Nigeria then, compared to my experiences as a customer in Europe or the US. We had and still have a system that harnesses global regulations, best practices, and technology. Nigeria has often taken the lead, whether that was with mobile banking nearly 2 decades ago, whether it is on e-security practices, or the exciting new initiatives such as the e-Naira. This track record on innovation and delivery generates its own momentum of success. It is no coincidence that our financial services and tech sectors are attracting unprecedented interest from Silicon Valley. We can be proud of having more unicorns than any other African country. Nigerian fintech startups are setting the pace for the continent and indeed the world. We even have a dedicated ministry for digital economy. This is all remarkable and a shining light of what we as Nigerians can do. Our banks, bankers, and regulators have received numerous awards and have been ranked among the best in the world. The returns on equity at Nigeria's most efficient banks are the envy of our peers overseas, even in the most difficult and uncertain times. As a matter of fact, I think this could be something that we have done almost too well, for the elites at least. Our systems and processes have made it exceptionally easy for our elites to bank globally and for global elites to bank in Nigeria. Let me put it in a different way. An investor in Norway will find it easier to use a Nigerian bank than a farmer in Ningi local government of Bauchi State. Working for TGI in some of our rural operations, I've come to realize that as we embrace a global system, we have somewhat abandoned many of our local compatriots. That is not only a loss for them, it is also a missed opportunity for our financial services industry to help create the growth that lifts us all to collective prosperity. That is why we are still talking about financial inclusion and how to bank the unbanked, after nearly 130 years since First Bank commenced operations in Nigeria. As leaders in banking, we are often drawn to focus on the latest global forces that are reshaping our industry. We connect with like-minded colleagues and debate how best to adapt the most recent global best practices and trends. We discuss how to address the challenges of the fintech revolution. We deliberate on how to draw the talent from a new generation that is more mobile and discerning in the workplace. Yes, in our board strategy sessions, we are still striving to be world-class. But as we hail our roles as champions and strive to retain our position as industry leaders on a world stage, it is at our peril we lose sight of the local element of what it means to be global. The World Bank recently said there are 64 million unbanked adults in Nigeria. That is 55% of the adult population in this country. It is nearly the same as the entire population of the United Kingdom. Imagine a country of that size with no bank accounts, not even mobile bank accounts. That is what we have in Nigeria today. A major concern is the disproportionate progress recorded. Research shows that rural communities, and women at least, are the least impacted by financial inclusion programs. Those unbanked Nigerians are not only potential savers and borrowers, but with our help, these are entrepreneurs and founders of the businesses of the future. When we look at the valuations of Nigerian banks, we often base those valuations on the idea that they are serving 200 million people. The reality is that they are not. They are serving a far smaller country divided between a handful of big cities, and those big cities look abroad as much as they look within. So to reposition for a global context, we also need to look more inwards. Zamfara State is one of Nigeria's rural states, but its GDP is as large as that of Sierra Leone, an entire country. Of course, banking our rural heartland presents its challenges. Digital banking and fintech will eventually revolutionize Nigeria. But what about right now? What about in areas like Yobe and Ebonyi, where the infrastructure is lacking? The world looks very different from Damaturu than it does from Davos. How can you implement the usual KYC protocols for customers when you go beyond the grid? The farmers are not going to come to us. With TGI's Outgrower Farmers, we learned this the hard way. A few years ago, we decided we would only pay our farmers for their produce through bank accounts, and they stopped coming. Simple. They did not have time for our grammar, or as they told us, Dogon Turanchi. Where is your ID card? Where were you born? But my favorite was the reaction from one of them when he was asked, "What is your mother's maiden name?" Of course, when considering the implications of a global approach, we cannot ignore the policy environment. If we are to make the most of opportunities that Glocal offers in an increasingly uncertain world, we need to see greater coordination between monetary, trade, and fiscal policy. One would think that this is a local request. However, today, almost everywhere in the world, the same conversation is taking place. In 2017-2018, there was anxiety in Nigeria over rising prices and devaluation in the urban areas, which was matched by increase in productivity in the rural communities. One could argue that the tilt towards the interests of producers of local crops over the consumers of imported goods was overdue. That shift to greater local food production has already helped to cushion us to some extent as availability of food globally declined. Our food price inflation in Nigeria has topped 20%, and this might seem shocking. But talk to the Ghanaians. They have exceeded 30% so far.
The Central Bank of Nigeria's Monetary Policy Committee meets next week to appraise the global and domestic economic environment and to determine whether to hold or raise the benchmark interest rate in the country. We'll have that in subsequent package. Now, report on reserved banking issues to the CBN Consumer Protection Department using the email address cpd@cbn.gov.ng and attach relevant documents. Call the CBN Contact Center on the phone line +234 700 2255 226. Local call rates may apply. Send your inquiries and comments to the dedicated email address from the cbn@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter for updates and to watch uploaded episodes of the program. We invite you to join us again next time. I'm William Missy Dada. Stay safe. Bye for now.